In August 1977, in the quiet, working-class neighborhood of Enfield, North London, the Hodgson family began a journey into terror. This would become one of the most documented and fiercely debated paranormal cases in modern history. Peggy Hodgson, a single mother raising 4 children, led a simple, peaceful life. Nothing could have prepared her for the terrifying events that would soon unravel inside her home at 284 Green Street. It all started subtly. Strange knocking sounds would echo through the walls late at night. Furniture would shake gently, and toys would roll across the floor as if pushed by an unseen hand. At first, Peggy tried to brush it off as the normal creaks and groans of an old house, but that all changed on the night of August 30th. Her daughters, Janet and Margaret, burst into her room, screaming that their beds were shaking. Moments later, Peggy witnessed something she would never forget. A heavy chest of drawers slid across the children's bedroom, all on its own. She tried desperately to push it back, but an invisible force seemed to resist her every effort. It was as if the furniture had a will of its own. That was the moment the Enfield haunting truly began. As the days turned into weeks, the activity escalated. Chairs toppled over, doors slammed shut with violent force. Objects flew across rooms. The knocking sounds grew louder, often occurring in distinct patterns, as if intelligently responding to questions. Terrified, the family finally contacted the police, and what happened next became one of the strongest pieces of evidence supporting their claims. A police officer, WPC Caroline Heaps, witnessed a wooden chair move nearly half an inch across the floor, entirely by itself. In her official written statement, she confirmed that no one had touched it, and that the motion was definitely not caused by any natural means. This officer's testimony elevated the case from a family's strange anecdote to a national phenomenon. But the most disturbing part of the haunting centered around 11-year-old Janet Hodgson. She began to experience episodes that defied all rational explanation. There was spontaneous levitation, sudden trance-like states, and even physical attacks by unseen forces. There are photographs that captured her suspended midair, in positions that would be impossible for a child to achieve just by jumping. Witnesses reported seeing her thrown from her bed with startling violence. And then came the voice. A deep, rasping, masculine voice began to emanate from Janet, a voice that seemed utterly impossible for a young girl to produce. The voice identified itself as Bill, claiming to be a former resident of the house. Investigators recorded hours of these chilling conversations. In one session, the voice growled, "I'm Bill. I died in that chair downstairs." Later, the Hodgsons learned that a man named Bill Wilkins had indeed died in that house years earlier. His son would later confirm the details of his father as death details. The Hodgson family could not have known, as the case exploded in the media. The Society for Psychical Research, or SP, sent 2 of its most dedicated investigators, Maurice Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair. They moved into the house and observed paranormal events firsthand, documenting hundreds of hours of audio and photographic evidence. They noted that the knocking sounds seemed to respond intelligently to their questions, forming coherent patterns. Objects appeared to teleport from one room to another. Metal spoons bent in midair, right before their eyes. Toys flew at high speed, sometimes narrowly missing their heads. Gross and Playfair both came to believe the case was genuine. They did acknowledge that Janet occasionally played pranks, something she herself admitted 2 years later. But they insisted that the vast majority of the events they witnessed were authentic and far beyond the capabilities of children faking it. The voice phenomena remain one of the most compelling aspects of the case. To test its authenticity, experts in speech and sound analysis were brought in. They concluded that the voice did not come from Janet's normal vocal cords. Instead, it originated from her false vocal folds, located much deeper in the throat. This is a technique that would be extremely difficult and potentially painful for a child to maintain for long periods. During one session, Maurice Gross asked the voice, "Why don't you show yourself?" The voice responded, almost mockingly, "I'm invisible because I'm a ghost." These recordings still circulate today and continue to puzzle vocal experts. Yet, the case was not without its controversy. Skeptics argued that the girls could have faked some events, pointing to a few moments caught on camera where they were seen bending spoons or playfully messing with objects. But even the harshest skeptics have to admit that certain events, like the police officer's testimony, the levitation photographs, and the analyzed voice recordings remain unexplained. The family endured this nightmare for nearly 2 years. Janet later said that she often felt taken over, describing the experience as if something was inside her, controlling her body. She insists to this day that although a small portion of the events might have been pranks born out of desperation, 98% of it was absolutely real and deeply traumatizing. By 1979, the phenomena gradually faded away. Life slowly returned to a semblance of normal for the Hodgsons, though Janet continued to experience strange occurrences well into her adulthood. She has stated that she believes something stayed with her for many years after the haunting officially ended. Today, the Enfield Poltergeist case remains one of the most intensely studied hauntings in modern paranormal history. It has inspired countless documentaries, books, and even major Hollywood adaptations. But despite all the attention, researchers remain divided. Was it a genuine case of supernatural activity, a complex psychological manifestation of a troubled family, or perhaps a bizarre combination of both? What makes the Enfield case so extraordinary is not just the sheer volume of evidence, but the diversity of the witnesses. Police officers, journalists, neighbors, and trained investigators all reported events that defied logic and reason. With more than 200 hours of audio recordings, dozens of photographs, and numerous first-hand accounts, it remains the most documented poltergeist case ever recorded. And so, decades later, the house at 284 Green Street still stands quiet, unassuming, perfectly ordinary. But for those who lived through the events within its walls, it holds memories of something far beyond the ordinary, something that blurred the very boundaries between the known and the unknown. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Enfield haunting was a genuine paranormal event, or is there a rational explanation behind it all? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching Shadow Histories.